This is Shannon Kringen in Seattle, and I'm holding a CD called Goddess Kring Kaleidoscope Unicorn Remix. And it is now, I'll hold it. It is now, it's upside down. It's now December 15th, 2025. And I feel like I've almost done a video monologue several times and I didn't. And so today I'm finally turning the camera on and just wanting to speak my mind. I think that not a whole lot of people listen to these monologues of mine, and yet it's important for me to listen to what is inside me and express it outwardly and not worry about the external results in terms of popularity or being understood. I have been very busy lately. I acted in a film, the follow-up to Fantasy Egg It's a Mattress, Crystal Ball, and I am excited that I have an acting role in the new movie Crystal Ball, and I had a very good time filming it with the filmmakers, and I forgot how to pronounce their names, forgive me, but the movie is Crystal Ball, the follow-up to Fantasy Egg It's a Mattress. Dr. Clean Production. If you look that up, you can find information about the movie. I'm one of the cast members, and I'm really grateful that they included me in that project. I did some improv acting. I have my art in a couple of galleries. Well, one gallery now, the other one took it down. I'm upset to hear of the news of Rob Reiner being and his wife being killed, perhaps by their son. I don't know anything to speak on this topic, but I wish people would acknowledge a discussion about mental health and about when things like this happen that are really disturbing and upsetting, when family members harm other family members and there's mental health involved that is going wrong. I think people should discuss this. I am not wanting to feed myself Twinkies for dinner in terms of the mass media sound bites and the sensationalized what really matters is family and friends and people directly involved that are grieving and mourning the loss of the people that were killed, as well as all of the other tragic events happening in the world that I won't go into. Something that happened in Australia, something that happened in the East Coast at a university in the United States. Violent things that happened, violent things happening in different countries, parts of the Middle East. I'm not going to mention all of the things. I'm aware, I pay attention to what's happening in the media to some extent, but I also know that part of the mass media is about ratings and sound bites and advertisers that have commercials on TV that want eyes glued to the TV. And so they want to keep it entertaining. And so, unfortunately, the news media, while they partly tell us about real things that are happening in the world, they also try to keep it entertaining or keep it interesting and dramatic. And it's easy to be dramatic when dramatic, horrible things are happening. I just have my own personal feeling about it is that I don't want to get sucked into the drama of arguing and being rude. And then I'm thinking about my personal mental health and my personal physical health and the health of everyone. Like we're all in this planet together. And then I wonder the purpose of this YouTube channel. As a human being, I'm an only child. I'm dating somebody, but I admit that I feel single even when I'm dating somebody. So, in other words, I have a hard time with intimacy. I like to say, intimacy chasing me, feel like it's erasing me. Into me, you see. Self abandonment got me stranded again, polluted and uprooted. So, I recently had a personal challenge with somebody I'm close to, and I have a pattern of suppressing myself to please other people, and then I get angry eventually and I have a passive aggressive response. So I'm thinking about world events and how it applies. And then if you focus on yourself, people think you're selfish. But then if you focus on jumping on the bandwagon of news topics and people arguing about the good people believe this and the bad people believe that, I'm somebody who cares about ethics and empathy and compassion, and I care about what's real. And I also acknowledge sometimes things that happen are sensationalized to get ratings on television and to entertain people. And that's, in my opinion, exploiting a real event that happens and using it for purposes of entertainment or getting eyes glued and pushing people's buttons. And then I feel like I'm being manipulated instead of actually being a human being who's in touch with her humanity, who cares about what's happening in the world. I then feel like I'm a pawn in some kind of game where I am trying to prove that I'm one of the good people and prove that I'm not one of the bad people. And I see people doing this psychological warfare to each other. And then I wonder, what is the point of me making this video? And I'm holding up my CD because I'm trying to remember that I'm on this planet to be my unique self along with everybody else who's their unique self. And I could sit here and tell you all my opinions of all of the things happening in the world, but what is the point of that? And no matter what I say, some people will think I'm wrong. And no matter what I say, other people will think I'm correct. And what I'm noticing now is I feel like I paint myself in a corner when I analyze what's happening and my response to it. And then I write poems about current topics like cancel culture vulture, virtue signal soldier, outsmart the gaslighters, kaleidoscope unicorn, polarized landscape. And now I have a new song called Lonely in the Sand, wishing a stranger would take my hand. And I think about the grief I feel towards San Diego, and I feel like I'm extremely emotionally wounded in some ways. And my defense mechanisms are that I focus on work and I focus on my relationships to the community in which I work with my freelance jobs. And I'm really, really grateful that Dave Flowers and I from Interactive Jack Records are making music. Literally, I write poetry and we turn it into music, and I'm so grateful for that. And I am feeling a bit overwhelmed by the anxiety that I feel about making choices. And I feel when I scroll through some of the social media websites that I belong to, I am upset by the snarkiness that some people are having towards each other, no matter what their opinions are. I've seen people with different kinds of opinions be snarky to each other who have different opinions, and I feel like I don't belong in that. And so the song I wrote called Polarized Landscape, Debate Escape, Polarized Landscape, sponsored by fill in the blank. My goal would be to stay human and stay close to nature. And then I realize to some extent I'm a chameleon. And maybe that's me being smart and having a defense mechanism, survival strategy. Maybe that's part of being an only child of divorced parents and having to be a different daughter around my dad, and then a different daughter around my mom, and then a different daughter around my grandma. I felt like I was adapting to different adults around me that had different ideas about how I should or shouldn't be. That is confusing to a child. And I've taken a lot of acting classes also. So in current times where people are threatened by each other who have the wrong opinion, who supposedly have the wrong opinion, and then people say you have to take a stand. I've been told that I have to take a stand between A versus B in terms of my opinions about things. And I'm thinking, I don't like A or B. I don't buy into the duality of A versus B. And some people think, well, that's all there is. There's A or B, and that's it. And I don't think of reality in that way. I think it's more complicated than that. And then we have our technology and how things are getting more and more complicated with technology and rules we need to follow. I feel really, really, really like this is a challenging time to be on planet Earth 2025. It's December of 2025, and I'm feeling angry, scared, overwhelmed, confused, and feeling sad that I'm afraid if I focus on myself and take better care of myself, then I will be perceived as a narcissist. Or maybe I actually am afraid that I'm a little bit of a narcissist myself. And I have this like shame about myself. And that is really sad because the world needs people who have self respect and self confidence. Because when you're happy with yourself, you're not likely to lash out at other people. So, as much as it sounds self absorbed and selfish to focus on yourself and take care of yourself, if you're actually taking good care of yourself, you're not likely to be violent towards other people. You're not likely to do horrible things to yourself or to others. Because if you don't love yourself and you're self destructive, that's going to cause drama, which is going to bring your family and friends down. And so, if you're not self centered in a positive way, if you're self centered in a negative way, it's going to drag other people down because you're going to create problems. And if you're self centered in a take care of yourself way, even if some think that you're selfish, if you're truly taking good care of your mental, emotional, spiritual, physical needs, you're probably not going to be super needy towards other people, and you're probably going to be making the world a better place and helping the world instead of dragging anybody down. So this is what I need to remind myself on a daily basis is that I feel like I'm trying to navigate how do I love myself without it feeling like it's a selfish kind of, yeah, disturbing kind of self-focus. I work with other artists as a model and I take a lot of self-portraits and I am neurodivergent to some extent, although I don't fully buy into labels. I do have a highly sensitive nervous system and I feel like I'm so defensive all the time and I wish that I could just relax. And I'm upset about current events in the world, but I don't want to argue with people about my opinion or defend my right to have a controversial opinion about whatever topic. And I feel like I'm struggling with making decisions, both complex decisions that are important and even just silly opinions, like what to have for dinner for the night. That isn't that important what you have for dinner each night. Um, So I'm excited about the film I'm in. I'm excited about the art projects I'm working on. I am still heavily grieving San Diego, where I left as a child, as a 9-year-old, because of my family wanting to leave and me not wanting to leave, and me going back to San Diego recently and really being stirred up. I've cried, I've gotten angry, I've gotten real sad. Right now, I'm too tired. I just want to make a video monologue, and I'm not interested in being sad or angry or crying. So now I'm in my more analytical side to my brain. I recently had a counseling session, but when I went into the office, I was not angry. So I think the therapist was thinking that I wasn't in touch with my feelings. But yesterday or earlier, actually, yesterday and today, I was very much in touch with my anger and why I was angry. Sometimes when I get angry with another person, it's because I feel like I'm still 9 years old and I'm not getting my needs met and I don't know how to speak up for myself. And boundaries are complicated for me. And I'm wondering now if I avoid other people because I'm wounded, or do I avoid other people? Like sometimes I really enjoy my solitude. Like right now, I'm glad I live by myself. I'm making this video. I don't have any roommates or housemates that are making any noise. I'm just living by myself in my apartment and I'm free to be myself. And yet, part of me craves companionship, and part of me wishes I had more close friends, and yet, part of me avoids. And I feel like I'm lost a lot of the time. And it could be that's the autism part of me, the poor working memory, the ADHD, the dyslexia, the chaotic mind. I keep myself busy. I'm getting back into exercise. I sort of lost touch with that. You know, healthy eating and exercise is important to mental and physical health. I feel overwhelmed and like the world is really moving fast and I'm trying to figure out I need to just focus on what I'm grateful for. And Goddess Kringen Kaleidoscope Unicorn Remix, the songs will be out soon. Dave Flowers and I are going to be uploading them to all the streaming websites, including Interactive Jack Records. Um, I just wanted to give you an update for the middle of December. There's a lot more that I thought I was going to say. I'm watching a movie, actually. That's what I was going to say about the Rob Reiner tragedy. I was watching a movie. I really loved a lot of his movies. I still love his movies that he directed, When Harry Met Sally, Stand By Me. I enjoyed him in All in the Family as a kid growing up in the 70s. I used to watch All in the Family, Archie Bunker, all of that jazz. Um, there's a movie called, is it called Being Charlie? And I'm watching that, and that's directed by Rob Reiner, filmed in 2015, and written by his son, who ended up, uh, perhaps, according to the news media, killing his father and his mother. So that is really upsetting. And I am watching the movie um, to try to absorb what did this person write in the screenplay? I guess it's about a young man struggling with drug addiction, drug substance abuse and addiction, and perhaps mental health issues, and to try to learn something. And whereas some people might want to boycott the film because his son who killed him wrote it, but he directed it, I'm somebody who, when something tragic happens, if I can try to learn something about this person, why was this person, what was their energy, what was going on with that, to try to learn something. I feel like when there's a tragic event and somebody chooses to do something really violent, I'm somebody who's curious, not because I don't care about the tragedy and not that I don't feel angry with the person who did the violent thing, but when a tragedy happens, I want to learn something. So maybe that's the autism in me. It's kind of like Temple Grandin. This is blurry, but I'm not going to worry about it. Temple Grandin is an autistic woman with a PhD, and she very much cares about the way animals are slaughtered, and she designed things that help it be more humane. And you could say she had the perfect brain for that because she can walk into a slaughterhouse and observe cattle being slaughtered and realize, wait a minute, this doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be quite so, even though no matter how they do that, it's going to be upsetting to people. And most people would just run. They would not be able to handle being in a room like that. They would either have to not care at all and be detached and numb from it, or they would um, run and be upset and throw up or faint or cry or get angry or whatever. Whereas Temple Grandin has the kind of brain where she has empathy and she cares about the cows and she knows what it's like to think like a cow because of her uh, animal husbandry. What is it called? She has a master's degree in animal husbandry, I think, or animal behavioral science or something. She is an expert on Temple Grandin and she has a PhD, and she is extremely intelligent, and her brain is different in some ways. Like there's a hyper focus in one way and a lack of focus in another way. And so the gift I see about that is she can hyper focus. She can tell cattle rancher people how to more humanely euthanize, or not euthanize, more humanely slaughter cattle for food. As upsetting as it sounds to say that out loud, that's the reality. And I think she designed up to 50%. So I'm bringing this up because maybe it's the autistic part of me that whenever there's a tragic, violent event, it makes me want to learn more about who are the people that did the horrible, tragic thing and what motivated them. Why are they so angry or upset and feeling like they want to lash out? Did they just lose their mind and go insane? Did they have some legitimate reasons why they're upset? And yet, I would never say it was okay to do a violent, horrible thing in response, but I want to understand, why were they upset? Is there something that we can do as a society to prevent people from losing their minds and going off like that? Is there a legitimate reason why somebody's upset about something, even though the solution of being violent is always the wrong choice? I'm acknowledging that's the wrong choice to make, but I'm curious about why people do these things and trying to learn from it instead of just boycotting that person and ignoring that person and just glorifying the victim of that person. It is good to honor and grieve people. See, my opinion is controversial. I feel like no matter what I say, some people are going to think it's rude for me to say these things. See, my opinion is just unusual. It's like when something tragic happens, it makes me feel tremendous compassion for the victims of whatever that was, and to want to honor and grieve that and be a real kind human that cares. And then the other side of me wants to analyze, why did somebody do something violent and what motivated that? And is there a way we can prevent that in the future? So that's the way my mind handles these tragic events, is both you grieve and you mourn the loss and you honor the person that is no longer with us that suffered from this tragic event, or is, killed because of a tragic event. And then just like if somebody decides to leave the planet at their own hand, you could feel angry with that person, but you can grieve that person, and then you can try to learn, why did they do that? Is there a way we can prevent that from happening in the future? Instead of just being angry and reacting and wanting to boycott that or get away from that, why don't we acknowledge that humans are engaging in this behavior, whether it's self-harm or harming another, and try to learn something from it as a way of healing and growing and grieving and trying to prevent more future tragic things. So that's where I was coming from on that. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'm just navigating taking care of myself and figuring out what kind of ripple effect I want to take in the world or have an effect in the world. And I feel like I don't watch a lot of mainstream mass media, because a lot of it is designed to, even if they're telling you something that's true and just presenting you with the facts, they do it in a sensationalistic way that feels to me like I'm being manipulated into thinking a certain thing or watching a lot of media and forgetting about my own life and not taking care of myself, my friends, my family, my job, you can get so lost in these media stories that you lose touch with, and then you think you're selfish if you don't fixate on the mass media. I think fixating on the mass media is not necessarily good for your mental or physical health because you're not taking care of your family and your friends and your local community if you're so caught up in the mass media stories. And unless you can directly affect something and help make it better, I don't think that focusing on all of these things beyond our control is a very good idea. See, maybe that's the challenge of being a human. And then I think these days with mass media and technology, the Amish people are onto something in terms of not getting sucked into technology and mass media, so that the Amish people are in touch with their local community, like 150 people in their community or their local family and friends, and what they can do to actually help each other live a good life with each other in a community. And so it's easy to get caught up in the mass media, and then you forget about your family and your friends and your local community. And are you really doing anything to help the larger world if you're fixated on large events that are happening, especially if it's 12,000 miles away? What are we supposed to do about something that's happening 12 miles away, 12,000 miles away, halfway around the world? Unless you can actually do something to help, why fixate on things that are beyond our control? Not that we don't care about things happening to other people in other parts of the world. We have to choose what kind of ripple effect we're going to create. So that's the thoughts that I think. I'm not telling you what you should think and do whatever you think is best, but I personally I feel overwhelmed by the mass media, and I feel manipulated by the mass media, and I feel like I don't trust some of the information. I trust some of it, I don't trust other parts of it. So I feel like it's good to question everything. And there it is. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say for today. This is my Shannon Kringen monologue for now. You can check out my music. No, this is out of focus. Focus. Hocus pocus. Let's get back to the focus. Goddess Crane, Kaleidoscope Unicorn Remix will be out soon. We have a new song called, and we covered Tom Petty's song, The Waiting, but we're not really allowed to release that because we don't have the rights to that. But we did record a underground secret version of Tom Petty's The Waiting, and our friend Pat played guitar, and Dave Flowers and I did most of the vocals, and we did a beautiful version of The Waiting, and I'm happy about that. And I love the music of Tom Petty, who widens my jetty, and I'm wearing the button, Tom Petty button right here. Tom Petty button is right here. Um, so he's a symbol to me for being authentic, following your dreams, doing what you love, trying to be strong and focused on what you love and manifesting your dreams. Ocean beam, come clean, manifesting dreams. Black fire, feather rain, straining the stream of consciousness again. Volcano ash erupting green, enchanted fingers filter rain. Those are some of my poetry words. So this is me in Seattle, and there's poetry and music and art and photography, and I just want to keep learning and growing and healing. And there's my self portals. And everybody do what you love. And you decide what's best for you. And I decide what's best for me. And we're all individuals. That's how I see things right now. Bye for now. Thanks for being here. Please like and subscribe if you want.